Welcome to the Virtual Manager podcast. My name's Anna Russell. I'm an artist manager and founder of The Virtual Manager. Throughout my career, I've developed and managed several music artists from new unsigned acts right through to globally successful ones. This podcast is for all unmanaged or independent music artists who want to start, build, or grow a successful, sustainable music career. There's been a lot of talk on the internet over this last week or so about an artist in conflict with their record label, with the artist stating that they're signed to unfair terms and conditions because they didn't understand these at the time of signing their recording contract. Now, I'm not going to comment on the artist or that deal because I don't have any personal knowledge of that particular situation. However, the artist and the whys and wherefores of that situation aren't important because this could be any artist we're talking about. The tale of artists entering into contracts that they don't fully understand the particulars of, and therefore the implications that can have for their career in music, is one as old as time. We regularly hear stories of artists who are struggling to get out of a working agreement they've signed or who are unhappy with their contracts and the legal cases that sometimes ensue. That's not to blame the artists. They can't be expected to understand what are often very complex clauses. But there are steps you can take to protect yourself from this happening. That's why I thought it was the perfect time to record this podcast episode on music lawyers and why you need them. So here's what you need to know. As an artist, you will or should have contracts between yourself and your manager, yourself and any record label that plans to release a quantity of your music, yourself and any publishing company that plans to publish or sync any of your songs, yourself and your producer. You may even have a band agreement between yourself and your fellow band or collective members if you're not a solo artist. There are a wide variety of other contracts you may also be presented with throughout your music career. First, you should never enter into or sign any contractual agreement without having had a qualified lawyer study and advise you on each clause of the contract. I'm going to repeat that. You should never enter into or sign any contractual agreement without having had a qualified lawyer study and advise you on each clause of the contract. More specifically, this should be a music, media, or entertainment lawyer who specializes in the music industry, copyright law, and the various contracts that exist within music and media. You should be fully satisfied that they are a qualified, practicing lawyer/solicitor with a speciality in music, media, and entertainment. And as with all members of your team, you should also trust and respect them. Second, very importantly, your lawyer should be independent of the other party's lawyer. So, for example, if you're negotiating a deal with a manager, you do not use the same music lawyer that they are using. That goes for a record label, publisher, distributor, producer, ad infinitum. That would be a major conflict of interest for yourself and the other party to be using the same lawyer on a deal. And it can never benefit you as an artist. It means the lawyer is not acting exclusively in your interest because the opposing side of the deal is also their client. It's a major conflict of interest. This should, I hope, be obvious. Once you have a music lawyer in place, their role is to legally protect you as their client. For example, if a recording deal undervalues you as an artist or contains clauses that are going to restrict your ability to release music, work, or move forward in your career, they will seek to negotiate better, fairer terms for you, or indeed advise if it's a deal that you shouldn't pursue at all. They can also spot an illegitimate or scam proposal a mile away. A general rule, though certainly not guaranteed, is that the less experienced and established you are as an artist, the more a deal is likely to be weighted in the other party's favour. For you to operate from this place as an artist will help you err on the side of caution. Music lawyers already understand this and will steer you accordingly. However, a music lawyer doesn't only advise you, draft contracts, and manage the negotiating of your various deals. They're also often instrumental in the legal aspects of your business structure as an artist, so your company and tax setup as an artist. They also play a pivotal part, especially for independent artists and those who are in the early stages of their career, in an artist building their team and raising awareness of that artist amongst the industry. That's because music lawyers are some of the most connected people in the industry. As you can imagine, they're doing deals between various different parties all the time. It's likely that they will have dealt with or know of all the labels, publishers, and managers you will ever need to know about. They have incredible insight into the inner workings of various sectors of the industry. They also have a vested interest in seeing you work with the right people and strike deals, as that then means there's contractual work coming for them to do. As a result, don't be surprised if music lawyers are the very first industry people you see at your early shows. It's for that reason that the very first member of your team will often be a music lawyer. If they're not already in place, your manager will look to help you find a dedicated music lawyer in the early stages of your career. You should absolutely have a lawyer in place from as soon as you have any contracts or deals to consider. A good experienced artist manager will usually have a general understanding of the various contracts an artist can be offered, and is a good person to discuss initial thoughts on a proposed contract with before you and they also go over it with your music lawyer. However, an artist manager is not a qualified lawyer, and you shouldn't depend on their advice alone on contracts. Now, you may be wondering how you can afford a music lawyer as a new or independent artist. Here in the UK and in several other territories, music lawyers are not paid unless you are receiving a payment or advance. So, for example, if you've been offered a recording deal and the lawyer is responsible for advising you on that deal and ensuring you understand the clauses, as well as negotiating on your behalf, they take their payment after you've received the recording label advance that you'll be receiving from that deal. Likewise, for any other deals you may be offered, where the lawyer is involved in the negotiation and legal advice behind that deal. So once the deal is completed, the lawyer asks for a fee based on the hours they put into working on it, or sometimes a percentage of the deal or bonus based on the deal, though this is less common. It's more common in the US, I believe. You should ask up front how much this is likely to be and how and when they'll invoice you for it. In the past, I have sometimes found there not to be enough transparency on how and when lawyers charge for their contribution on particular deals or pieces of work for artists. However, today, the UK Law Society states that your solicitor should tell you how much the work or your case is likely to cost at the outset, keep you updated about costs during the process, and give you a final bill clearly showing what work was done and the amount charged. So don't be afraid of asking them upfront what it's likely to cost you. Charges can include their basic fee, expenses, a success fee, or as I said, a percentage or bonus if your deal is successful. And though even then, you should have a conditional fee agreement in place already. There can also be additional costs depending on the type of work being undertaken and the legal assistance you require. However, even outside of deals, I know many music lawyers are happy to offer legal advice pro bono until such a time when you're offered these types of deals, because ideally you and they want the lawyer to be a part of your team from the beginning. For those of you in the UK and are members of the Musicians Union, it's worth mentioning that they do offer free legal advice. However, because it's free and has to be of service to all of its members, this is not necessarily as timely or as nuanced as you might need. And I wouldn't necessarily use it for a deal where you'll be receiving significant payments or that are extremely contentious. For more minor issues, I think it can be great. Here are some questions to consider in finding the right music lawyer for you. Number 1, do they specialize and have expertise in music and/or media and entertainment? 2, are they fully qualified, practicing, and belong to a recognized law firm that specializes in music? Bear in mind, they could also be an independent lawyer or solicitor. Number 3, do they represent or have been recommended by the opposing party in any of your partnerships? So, i.e., are they also the lawyer for your label, your manager, your publisher, etc.? If so, find yourself another music lawyer. Number 4, what do they charge and have they given you a written fee agreement upfront? Number 5, Ask them which other artists they've worked with and if they represent artists at a similar stage to yourself. Also do your own research. Are they well respected within the music industry? Number 6, have you had your manager also check over all of the above? If you're at the stage where you're needing to have any legal work carried out for you as an artist, you are also ready for an artist manager, and I advise having one in place to help oversee this process with you, except of course when negotiating your management agreement with the manager. Now, if you're a member of the Virtual Manager, I've put a full list of UK music, media and entertainment law firms in there for you to access. If you're not already a member, you might want to consider joining the waiting list now to get this, which you can do so at www.thevirtualmanager.co.uk. That's it for this week. I hope it's impressed upon you just how important music lawyers are and why you absolutely need one before entering into any type of contracts, agreements, or negotiation. Join me back here next Tuesday for another episode of the Virtual Manager podcast. I'll see you then. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Virtual Manager podcast. If you've found it useful, I invite you to check out the Virtual Manager membership site. The Virtual Manager is an essential resource for independent music artists who want to start, build, or grow a successful, sustainable music career. It ensures that you have the foundations of that music career in place, then helps you to build on those to achieve your music career goals. With monthly music industry training, a library of tools and resources, A&R feedback on your music, access to live Q&As with me, plus an active supportive community of like-minded artists, the Virtual Manager is the perfect place to be for any unmanaged or independent artist. The Virtual Manager relaunches very shortly, so to get early bird access at the lowest membership price, join the waiting list now at thevirtualmanager.co.uk. Finally, please take a minute to review and subscribe to this podcast. It helps more independent music artists to find us.